The biggest mistake in Google Sheet isn't with complex formulas, it's how people enter their basic data from the start. That's what I tell every student in my spreadsheet course. In this video, I'll show you the stupid simple way of entering text, date, and numbers the first time you enter data in your Google Sheet. These fundamental techniques will save you hours of frustration and serve as the building block for everything else you do in Google Sheets. And for those who actually watch my videos till the end, I will also share with you the concept of data edges in Google Sheets. I was not aware of this for years. I still regret it, but I will save you from that pain. Hi, my name is Ujjwal and you are watching episode 3 of Making Google Sheets Stupid Simple. Let's get started. Alright, let's get back to our old beautiful friend. We'll go to sheets.google.com and then we'll click on the blank spreadsheet. Alright, so what is the first thing you do when you open a spreadsheet? The first thing you do is, of course, you name it. What's the name of this spreadsheet? Let's say basic data entry. The first thing you need is to choose where your data goes. Okay, so in this case, as you know, this blue rectangle that always highlights which cell is selected is where you decide your data goes. As simple as that. So first you click on that rectangle, which is called a cell. To enter text like your name or a note, just click on the cell and start typing. I've just clicked on the cell and I then start typing. Let's say basic GS. When you are done typing, you press the enter key to move down. In a similar fashion, you will start typing. And when you are done typing, you can press the tab key to move right. Or you can simply click any of the cells you want to type on. Entering numbers is just as easy. You click on the cell and you start typing. Let's say I type the number 9. I press enter. Did you notice something? When you are entering a number, it is automatically aligned to the right of the cell. And when you are entering a text, it is automatically aligned on the left of the cell. Let me show you again. I click on this cell, I'll write my name and I click enter, I go down and this text is automatically aligned to the left of the cell. I go again on some other cell and I type a number. At this time, it could be a decimal number. Let's say I type 93.26. If I press enter, it is aligned to the right of the cell. As you can see, let me show you how. You see this? The numbers are going to the right of the cell and the letters are going to the left of the cell. Why you need to know this is because when you type something and Google Sheet doesn't interpret as a text or a number, your formulas in future might produce errors. So be careful with that. Now for dates, Google Sheet is pretty smart. Just click on a cell and start typing the date in a common format. Let's say I type 16/4/2025. It is 16th of April 2025. I press enter and it is automatically aligned to the right. Let me show you one more thing. If I write 16 hyphen capital A P R hyphen 2025, I press enter, it is automatically formatted to the right. Google Sheets is cleverly understanding that this is a date because it could have pre-assumed it as a text. It could have aligned it to the left, but no, this case, it is aligned to the right. Let me show you something else. I write here 16 hyphen small a PR hyphen 2025. As you saw, now this time I am writing APR, the A is small. I still press enter and it was changed. It was auto formatted to 16 capital APR 2025 and it was aligned right of the cell. As you can see, Google Sheets is already looking at this as a date. Now there is one more way to confirm it. When you click on the cell and when you double click on the cell, you will see a date selector appear here. You see how awesome that is? Google Sheet is automatically understanding that this is a date and you can even change dates from here. Simple as that. If you double click here, it will open a date selector. And that is how you know the sheet is automatically formatting this as date. Now by default, in my Google Sheet, the format that Google Sheet is understanding is DDMMYYYY. Okay, this is the format it is understanding, and if I enter in this format, it will understand this as a date. Or you can simply say it as date, month, and year. Okay, if you have something else in your region or your country, there is a way to change that, and that will be covered in future lessons. Okay, so don't worry about it, we will cover that for sure. Now, want to change what is in the cell? What you can do is just click on that cell and start typing. and it will overwrite what was there in the cell existingly. I just press enter and the content of that cell was changed. Just click on it and you start writing. As simple as that. I press enter and the content of that cell was changed. If you want to change the content of the cell, that is how you do it. Now, what if you want to edit the existing content of the cell? Maybe you made a typo and you don't want to write the entire content again. You just go to that cell and double click so that you enter the edit mode of that cell inside the content. Now you can actually change whatever is there. Let's say I type here simple, or let's say I type here YT. As simple as that. I press enter and this time I showed you what edit mode is. Let's say I get into this cell. If I start typing directly, it will override the content. But what if I double click, I enter the edit mode and I can actually edit the current content and then change it. After I have changed it, I can press enter and the content of that cell is updated. It's not overwritten, it's updated. So now you understand what edit mode is. When you double click on the cell, the edit mode activates and you can update the content of that cell. Okay. So now in this case, am I on the edit mode when I am just doing a simple click? This is not when I am on the edit mode, but when I'm doing a single click and if I do a double click, I enter into the edit mode. Or simply if I click on the cell and press the enter button on the keyboard, I enter the edit mode. Okay. Another way of editing the same content is when you click on that cell, you remember our old friend formula bar, right? Now, if it is not showing up in your case, you can just go to view, show, and just make sure the formula bar is ticked, or just click on this and it will start showing up. Okay. When you click on the cell, you see here, you can just edit the content here directly and press enter and the cell gets updated. This is yet another way of updating the content. When you have so much of content crowded and you just want to focus on a single cell, you can use the formula bar for doing that. Now this brings us to the bonus part where I'll actually show you what data edges are. The most underrated concept in Google Sheet. You are using it daily and you don't know it. It is that kind of a concept. Okay. Now, so how do I start entering data without even touching my mouse? It's simple. You have 3 keys on the keyboard and you can simply use your arrow keys to navigate through the cell. But when you are doing that, what you can do is when you are on certain cell and you start typing, you understand that you are overwriting that cell, right? And you can simply type that and press enter. But what if I want to enter the edit mode? You can go into that cell and press enter. You will enter the edit mode. After you are done editing, you press enter and then you will go below that cell to start entering your data. Okay, it's simple. Now I'll just enter a few data. Let's say I want to enter names here. Okay, I'm just on this cell. I'll just type here Mike. I can type here Sarah. All I'm doing is typing names and I am pressing enter on my keyboard. Okay, I type here Radha. I press enter. As now the concept of data edges is where the things go really important. Okay, now what is a data edge? Now I want you to think of these things as an island. Okay, every island here in Google Sheet is created with edges in mind. Let me show you how. You see this? This is an island of data. You see this? This is an island of data. You see this? This is an island of data. So like they have empty cells all around. So what is an edge? The edge is something which is created just around the empty cells. So imagine you have an empty cell here. Now you have 2 edges created here. What are those 2 edges? This is an edge. This is an edge. Okay. You have 2 edges created here. Now you have empty cells all around this. So you have multiple edges created here. Let me show you how. This is an edge. This is an edge. This is an edge. And this is an edge. So you have 4 edges created because you have empty cells. Okay. So this is what the concept is. Whenever you find an empty cell, there is an edge created around it. As simple as that. Now, if I want to move from one edge to other edge, now this is an edge. Let's say I type something here. I type here my name. Then I type here my name again. Now I want to move from this edge to this edge. So what are the ways we can move? It's simple, right? I can just simply press my arrow keys and move here. But imagine how many clicks, how many types can you save if I just go from here to here? The way you can do that is simply clicking the CTRL, the control button on your keyboard, and pressing the arrow keys will move you from the left edge to the right edge. Now, what if I want to move from this edge to this edge? It could be long, it could be hundreds of rows, it could be thousands of rows. What if I want to move from that edge to this edge? It's pretty simple. You just select the control key and then the down arrow key. It will move you from one edge to other edge. It's important. Let's see this in action again. What if I want to move from this edge to this edge? As simple as that. I'll just press the control key and the left arrow key and I'll move from this edge to that edge. So you're jumping from one edge to other edge, and that is how much time you're going to save. You can just imagine. You're just using the control key and the arrow keys to move from one edge to other edge. And that's it. Clicking, typing and pressing enter. The stupid simple way of getting text, numbers and dates in your Google Sheet. And now I hope you understand the concept of data edges. Nobody's teaching this. Why? I don't know. So if you think my videos are adding value in your learning journey of Google Sheets, hit that like button and press the subscribe button and click the bell icon so that you get notified every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.